MMA Mania, Steve Jewin.
Juan.
Juan Archuleta.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm good. How are you today, sir?
Doing good.
Excellent. You've been on a remarkable run in your MMA career. 16 straight wins going into this fight at Bellator 214. In fact, I think the last time I saw you lose a fight was back when I was covering World Series of Fighting. So what do you attribute your current run to?
Well, it's just like the pressure of losing always is haunting you when you're undefeated. After losing, it was like, man, what's the worst that's going to happen, and especially the way I lost, it was just like, it's definitely devastating. It definitely impacted me as an athlete, but resetting goals, refiguring out new expectations to reach and what I want to accomplish in the sport helped me refocus myself and definitely just jump back on the horse again and just start plugging away. I quit a full-time job that I was working on the electrical union and just sold myself in 100% to being an MMA professional. And, with Joe Daddy Stevenson, we started out these wins, and then got with Tiki Gosen as my management and Paul Herrera and, Dwayne Ludwig and all these coaches and training partners that I have now. It's just been a tremendous team to get me to where I'm at right now.
You've put together the right team and you've adopted the right philosophy, and I would say you've definitely made MMA a full-time job because you're averaging 4 fights a year right now.
Oh, yeah. It's, something I definitely love doing. I wish I could fight more, There's one year I think I fought about 7-8 times. And, I just love fighting. Every week I competed when I wrestled for Purdue. And I wrestled in the Big Ten, so I was wrestling the top 10 guys in the country every weekend and every week, day in and day out, and just putting my nose to the grindstone. But fighting's a little different. You can't fight all the time, and something I got to realize. But taking it in that stride. I know when I signed with Bellator, I was talking about wanting to fight 6 times in 1 year, to 7 times, 8 times in 1 year. And I still have those aspirations leading into this year. So, we're just going to see how it plays out.
I understand that, but I've got to imagine now that you're fighting at the highest levels of the sport, you're taking more nicks and scrapes and bumps and bruises than you were before. So that pace just may not be possible. Your body may need time to heal.
Yeah, I track my recovery really well with Sam Calavita and at the training lab. I've been with them since the beginning of my career. So, as far as knowing where my body is and knowing where I'm recovered and knowing where I can push and pull back, that's the reason why we decided in 2016 to fight 6 times in 1 year, was because I was well rested, didn't take any damage, and some of those fights they were I had a lot of 5-round fights and went the distance. So but it's just knowing your body. As long as you're a professional athlete and you treat yourself with the right nutrition, right supplementation, right recovery, I mean, those little tiny nicks and bruises go away in a day. It's just when you're, living the party lifestyle and living the lifestyle of not a professional athlete, it's when those little injuries tend to linger.
Now, 5-round fights may be in your future here in Bellator, but first you've got to get through Ricky Bandejas, who I like to say he shocked the world at Bellator 204, and I was certainly shocked. I was there in Sioux Falls, and everybody going into that thought James Gallagher was going to roll through him, and pretty much the opposite happened.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the sport, and I definitely followed Ricky going into that fight because I wanted to know who Gallagher was fighting. And looking at his resume, I was like, man, this is no easy task for Gallagher to face. So, and you're right. All my focus is on this fight. Obviously, like you said, 5-round fights are the main goal. But this task at hand is my biggest task of my career. Ricky's a true fighter. He's a blue collar worker. He comes to scrap. He has a family that he's fighting for. He's not fighting just to fight, and he has the same vision that I do and the same characteristics that lead into me. He's an 11-1 opponent, and I'll break. Our coaches do a great job of breaking them down and coming up with game plans that I'm going to dictate when it comes to my fight.
Is it a little bit of an East Coast, West Coast thing as well, given that he's from Jersey and you're from Cali?
Absolutely. In New Jersey, he's ranked number 1. As far as some of the rankings that are out there for being in New Jersey, and I I've been ranked number one in California in Tapology for a long time, and so I definitely do feel like it's a East versus West Coast deal, and it's in my hometown. I've had some of the best performances of my life here in California at the Citizens Bank Arena, and to take that momentum and take it into the form where I envisioned myself fighting for many years. It's exciting.
That's something I always hear from fighters when I talk to them about the forum in Inglewood. They all say, especially the ones from California, they're like, man, I grew up around here. I lived a few blocks away from here. I always wanted to fight here. So you got to feel a little jolt of electricity right now knowing you're going into that venue.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've been to a lot of fights there. I've been backstage to a lot of fights there, and every time I was there, I'd close my eyes and just picture myself walking through the doors or walking on the stage on the Bellator platform. And, there's something in there that just electrifies you, that gets your heartbeat bumping and then your blood flowing. It's truly electrifying. Being a combat athlete or just being an athlete in general, you witness so much history going there, especially performances. Like you had the Lakers, you had boxing, you had, great performers go out there and perform. I took my kids there on like a Disney on Ice and they loved it. It's just like there's so much stuff that happens there that makes it magical. And I'm definitely going to be that person to make that night super magical.
We've seen the magic before in 3 Bellator fights now, so it's one thing to just go out there and do it in any forum, but to do it at the forum is going to be truly special, and on the main card too. Does that give you any extra pressure?
No, I've been competing since I've been 3 years old, so the pressure to me is the excitement. That what some people consider pressure is the excitement for me. I've been training my ass off since I was 3 years old, trying to win the state title, trying to win a Western regional title, trying to win a world title. So now it's come full circle now. And now I've put in my dues. I've gone to bed knowing that I put in the work since I was 3 years old to be where I'm at right now.
Ricky Bandejas, when he upset or at least showed the world that he was not a pushover for James Gallagher, Gallagher had been talking about how he was going to win this fight, dispatch him quickly, and go on to challenge Darian Caldwell and called him a bum and all sorts of other things. Now, you've admitted 5-round fights are a way off, but at the same time, you've got to, at least in the back of your head, have that idea percolating that, hey, I beat the guy who beat the guy who said he was going to beat the world champion. Maybe I'm in line for the world champion.
Well, I just take it as I come, fight by fight. From what I read, Horiguchi has the next title fight, ahead of me, which is fine. I'm just going to continue to make waves in every single weight class. If that means after this fight I go up to 155 and make a title stake there, then I go in there and I fight a 55er and I make a title stake there. And, I've done it at 45. I came down to 35 to make some more noise, and I just think it makes me more of a lucrative fighter, more a guy that's going to be easier to promote, a guy that's willing to step up and take chances, just like our boss Scott Coker did with Darian, sending him out to Japan. He's willing to take chances, and I'm one of those fighters that loves taking chances as well.
Yeah, and we've seen that with Darian Caldwell and Bellator as well, fighting in both 135 and 145. So he's shown he's flexible. He's shown he can be a potential champion in 2 weight classes and not just 1. And it sounds like you've got that same idea.
Yeah, I definitely, that was the goal. Coming from King of the Cage, no one won 3 belts in King of the Cage before, let alone 4. And that was my new vision. That was my new goal when I was talking to Terry Treblecock and we came up with new goals and I was signing with King of the Cage. Joe said, just out of the blue, he said, Terry will take 4 of your titles and we're going to continue to do it in multiple promotions. And it hit me. That's my calling for this sport, to go into each promotion and the next promotion up and win multiple titles in different divisions. That's never been done before.
Is there an upward ceiling, though, at some point? Like, you'd get up to, like, middleweight, and suddenly you'd be like, maybe I don't belong here.
Of course, there's always, there's God-gifted stuff, that you can't overcome, and size being one of them. But you learn the technique, and you take advantage of your opportunities. I don't believe in pushing in my opportunities, meaning going out there and trying to promote it. That's when, things catch up to you and you're not ready for stuff. like a title fight, for instance. If it comes my way, great. If it doesn't, I'm going to keep working towards it. It's when you try to force those opportunities of fighting someone bigger when you're not ready, or fighting for a title when you're not ready, that you tend to lose those fights.
I think that's exactly what we saw happen to Rory McDonald. He was just not big enough and not quite ready for Gegard Mousasi, and he paid for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And like I said, he kind of forced it a little bit out there instead of taking the time, finding the right people, finding the right team behind you to really get you up to that weight class. I've because I fought in multiple weight classes, I know the challenges that it takes to go up, and I know the challenges that it takes to go down. So, if they book me a fight at 55, I'm going to need some time. If they book me another fight at 35, I'm going to need some time, but I definitely going to take them as they come. And, you just got to be ready and have the right team to be able to push you behind you to go up or down.
How challenging are the weight cuts getting after this many years of competing at such a high level and having had so many fights?
Fortunately for me, like I said, I started approaching this sport as a professional athlete. So I got a professional team behind me where all my job is to do now is to just show up and train. I don't have to run these numbers anymore. I don't have to think about my food and intake, how many calories I got to lose this week, or what do I got to drink this week. I left it up to my trainer, Sam Calavita. My wife cooks my meals in our kitchen every day. Every meal specifically made for after my workout, before my workout. My coaches are here for me, making sure I get the best out of each workout, making sure I'm sweating good. And, it's just a world-class team, and you don't ask Tom Brady, hey, Tom, how are you going to perform? What kind of calories are you going to take in? And, what makes you this week,
right,
and,
right.
There's really no answer to it because he's surrounded by a professional team, or and they have these game plans already initiated for him. All he has to do is go out there and execute it.
I think that's a very good comparison too, because people like to hate on Tom Brady because he wins all the time, and you win all the time too. So honestly, when you're that successful, you're going to get people trying to pick things apart.
Yeah, absolutely. They always do, but that's what makes it more interesting, and that's what makes you want to keep driving to put away the naysayers.
Well, you keep doing that with win after win, and Ricky Bandejas will be a big one too. Is there any little thing that you've picked up, like from your team? They've said, like, here's a tell. He's got a thing that he does that you can read that and just do damage. Yeah,
he's like, man, it's just exciting because thinking about the fight gets me nervous because I know he's coming. He's gonna take a hit and he's gonna keep coming for it. So that's some of the tells, the signs that we tell, and it just makes for an exciting matchup. Honestly, it's just gonna be two guys gonna go out there, put it on the line. I was watching a perfect example. I've been watching a lot this fight camp. Is a Steven Bonner and the Forrest Griffin fight, because those are two blue collar guys that went out there, put it all on the line when it was time to put it all on the line. And I think both Ricky and myself are put in those positions that we're going to end up having a fight like that.
Oh yeah, that. Quite frankly, if it turns out to be that kind of fight, I'm going to be ecstatic, because that was the first UFC fight that I ever purposefully went out of my way to watch. After that whole season of Ultimate Fighter, I was like, I got to see which of these guys win. And then it turned into such an epic war. I was like, I'm a fight fan for life now. That fight changed my life.
Absolutely. And it did a lot of people's, it got them put on Spike TV, where now Ricky and I are now fighting for Paramount Network. So what better way to rerun a classic?
Absolutely. And it's 2019. Spike has become Paramount, and you've become one of the featured fighters on there. But I would say you've been showing a lot of personality even in the preliminary fights. Do you plan that? Do you know what you're going to say when you get a mic in front of you, or does it just flow off the top of your head?
I spent my time in Hollywood that I needed to pick up those cues. So being around Nick Jonas and those guys, so it took a little bit of practice. But now, having those mics around me has just been, second nature. Being around the training partners I do now, and being around the environment definitely helps out.
Well, hopefully you're going to get that chance here again at Bellator 214, either Mike Goldberg or Big John McCarthy, or maybe even the American gangster Chael Sonnen will be sticking a mic in your face after a big win.
either one of those guys, I'm happy to be in front at the end of the fight. That's for sure.
All right. Well, Juan, I appreciate the time today, and I want to give you a chance to thank all your teammates and sponsors, anything you'd like to mention, social media, and all of that before I let you go.
Oh yeah, first of all, I just want to thank you and your platform that you and thank you for everything you've done for me on being able to break down my fight and giving me some love. I appreciate that. I appreciate your fans for tuning in and checking it out. And I definitely want to thank my training partners, my coaches, just all my training staff, my wife and my kids. They're the most supportive. They're the ones backing me. Off these fights. When you have problems with at home at the family is when you have problems in the ring, but they make it super easy, and it makes me super easy. It makes it super easy to go out there and perform. I definitely want to thank my sponsors, Boost Mobile, Monster, Legacy, Snyder Services, and Elite Sports. Those guys, they help make everything what it is for me to show up every day and just to focus on trains. I just want to thank my management crew, Tiki Gosen and Paul Herrera. They've done a great job, behind the scenes of making sure that I have something after fighting, and that all I have to do is just focus right now is training on my fighting, and they take care of everything else. So I definitely want to give a huge shout out to those guys as well.
Indeed. And you take care of business in the cage, they take care of business outside of the cage, and you just keep getting win after win. It's like DJ Khaled says, all we do is win.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Juan.
Even if things don't go your way, you're winning, So, as long as you got God on your side and, you're giving your glory to God, that there's no losing.
Amen to that. So, on behalf of MMA Mania and everybody here, thank you for the time today, and we look forward to seeing you have a great fight at Bellator 214 at the Forum.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. And thank you, Danny, as well.